Okay, picture this. It's the dead of night. You're walking completely alone through this isolated, pitch-black forest. The wind is howling, the shadows are stretching out, and literally every single survival instinct in your body is screaming at you to hurry home. But then you hear it. A chilling, disembodied groan coming from beneath this massive, ancient rock. I am bound. I am captive. Well, let's dive right into this, because this isn't just the start of a typical horror story. It's the beginning of a profound test of the human spirit. We're going to be following a humble woodcutter named Joseph, and his life is about to be turned completely upside down.
It really poses the ultimate dilemma, doesn't it? Would you risk everything to free a monster just because it asked for help? I mean, let's be real, any normal person would absolutely run. They'd ignore the voice, sprint back to the safety of their home, and lock the door tight. But you see, Joseph isn't a normal person. He has this unshakable moral compass. So despite the sheer paralyzing terror gripping his heart, his conscience actually forces him to stop, walk right up to that rock, and listen to the entity trapped beneath it.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping straight into a high-stakes thriller where one single good deed triggers a deadly countdown. It's a story that tests the absolute limits of courage and belief. So get ready, because we're unpacking The Ticking Clock, a thriller of faith and fear. And you are going to see exactly how one simple choice cascades into an all-out battle for survival. Section 1. The Voice in the Dark, a Woodcutter's Choice. To really understand Joseph's choice, we have to look at his world. Joseph lives in a forgotten, struggling little town. He's a man completely worn down by grueling daily labor, desperately fighting just to provide for his wife, Faith, and their 3 young kids. Every single day for him is a brutal reality of failing crops, endless manual labor, and a family literally hovering right on the brink of ruin. Yet, somehow, he maintains this unwavering faith and an absolute inability to ignore a cry for help. So, when this desperately poor man hears that terrifying voice out in the dark woods, he doesn't think of his own safety. He is about to face a supernatural test of his character that's going to endanger absolutely everything he holds dear. Against all logic, Joseph starts digging. He digs beneath the rock and uncovers a sealed, cursed copper pot. He raises his axe and bam, he shatters the seal. Within seconds, a violent earthquake just rocks the entire forest. Instantly, this towering, terrifying, giant spectral form erupts straight from the earth, filling the sky. But then, moments later, the monster shrinks down into a much more human form. He introduces himself as Zachary, a spirit who had actually been imprisoned by a dark sorcerer for centuries. Zachary thanks Joseph for his incredible mercy, hints that a massive trial is coming, and then just vanishes right into the night. Section 2. The Cursed Gold Dilemma, a Deadly Reward. So the next morning, Joseph heads back into the forest, but the clearing is different. Waiting for him, right on the exact spot where he freed the spirit, is a massive, heavy bag, just overflowing with gold coins. And resting right next to it, a mysterious, ancient copper ring. Now you have to wonder, is this a reward or a deadly trap? Joseph just freezes. His conscience is completely warring with his desperate need. I mean, this gold could feed his family for a lifetime, but where did it come from? Is it a blessing from Zachary, or is it cursed bait left behind by that dark sorcerer who imprisoned the spirit in the first place? Ultimately, he actually leaves the gold behind, absolutely terrified of bringing tainted wealth anywhere near his family. But Joseph is immediately forced into an agonizing dilemma. He rushes home only to discover that his youngest son, 5-year-old Oliver, has fallen into a supernatural paralyzed coma. Well, it turns out little Oliver secretly followed his dad out into the dark woods the night before, and the poor kid was literally shocked into a death-like state from the sheer terror of seeing that spectral giant. The local healer tells Joseph that the only doctor who can save him is way out in the city, and it's going to cost an absolute fortune. So now, what does he do? Does Joseph use the potentially cursed sorcerer's gold to save his son's life? Section 3. The 3-day warning. The countdown begins. Right before Joseph can even make that impossible choice, Zachary the spirit suddenly materializes right inside Joseph's home. In an instant, Zachary uses his supernatural energy to just draw the pure terror right out of little Oliver, miraculously healing him. But, the relief is incredibly short-lived, because Zachary immediately drops a terrifying bombshell about that gold, and specifically about that ancient copper ring. 3 days. Zachary reveals that the ring actually holds the power of a dark sorcerer named Malachi, and because that seal was broken, Malachi is now awake. Zachary warns Joseph that in exactly 3 days, Malachi is going to arrive in their village, slaughter Joseph's entire family, and reclaim his ring. Just like that, the ticking clock has officially started. Section 4. The Sorcerer in Disguise. The Monster as a Savior. For 2 agonizing days, Joseph just waits in total paranoia. Then, the dreaded 3rd day finally arrives. A stranger walks into the struggling town. But it's not a screaming monster. It's actually a kindly, smiling older gentleman. The monster didn't attack the village. Instead, he became their savior. And guys, this is where the psychological terror truly sets in. We know, and Joseph knows, that a cosmic horror has just walked into town. But the villagers, they just see a sweet, pious old man who introduces himself as Elder Newman. Malachi is smart. He employs these brilliant, deceptive tactics. He starts offering free miracle cures to the sick, acts incredibly pious to win over all the local religious leaders, and then pulls off his masterstroke, magically curing the local landlord's bedridden son. Boom! With that one move, he instantly gains absolute political power in the town. Malachi is using these tactics to systematically and quickly turn the entire village against Joseph. He totally isolates the woodcutter, making it completely impossible for Joseph to warn anyone of the true catastrophic danger that's literally walking right among them. Section 5. The Midnight Confrontation. Luring the Beast. Realizing Joseph isn't just going to hand over the ring, Malachi drops the kindly act once it gets dark. At the stroke of midnight, this terrifying shadow creature slithers right into Joseph's house to steal back the ring. But Joseph holds his ground in the dark, repelling the creature, not with weapons, but through the sheer, unyielding force of his faith. The shadow shatters. Knowing he cannot survive another night of this, Joseph builds a desperate, high-stakes trap. Step 1, he feigns surrender to Elder Newman. Step 2, he arranges a midnight meeting back out in the isolated forest, right at the cursed rock. With a weakened spirit, Zachary hiding out in the shadows, Joseph readies the ring for the one thing Malachi absolutely doesn't expect: destruction. It's a massive gamble, luring the sorcerer out of the village to the literally only spot where his power can be permanently broken. Section 6. Shattering the Curse, the Final Stand. So, the final showdown begins out in the pitch-black forest. Joseph is standing there, completely alone by the ancient rock. The wind dies down, and from the darkness, Malachi arrives. Malachi sheds his friendly Elder Newman disguise, expanding into his terrifying, dark, true form. He demands his ring, fully expecting this mortal woodcutter to just cower in fear. But Joseph? He looks the cosmic horror right in the eyes and snarls, "I brought you here not to give it back, but to destroy it." And with a defiant roar, Joseph violently smashes the ancient ring straight against the massive stone. The explosion of light is absolutely blinding. A huge shockwave rips through the forest as a third of Malachi's dark power is completely vaporized. The sorcerer shrieks in agony and flees into the night, permanently crippled. The town is saved. Joseph's family is safe. In the epic epilogue, the spirit Zachary appears one last time. He looks at the exhausted woodcutter and shares this enduring truth: goodness is never wasted. Not in this life or the next. And with that, Zachary vanishes forever, leaving Joseph with the gold, his family, and finally peace. We've just watched a simple woodcutter face down unimaginable terror, all because he simply refused to ignore someone in pain. So I want to leave you with this final thought. When you hear a cry in the dark, when fear tells you to run and just look the other way, will you keep walking or will you stop? Think about your own courage and what you would really do when the clock starts ticking.